Hello and welcome back. Should be live now. So I'm back from my break. If you watched part one or if you went through part one and are continuing watching, this is my part two of today's stream. So in the first stream, we went for about 2 hours, a little bit over 2 hours. And in this one, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna try to do 2 to 4 hours. I want to get to 4 hours because I wanted to stream at least six today. But we'll see. We'll see how far we get and how I end up feeling because now it's a little bit later. So before I was going to take a quick break, but that break ended up becoming a little bit too long because I ate and then I got tired and I took a nap and I woke up, had some coffee now, and I think I'm good to go. I also noticed that just before I was about to start streaming again, and we were encountering or experiencing some packet loss. So right when I was about to start streaming, I noticed that in my browser, some of the websites were not loading quickly, and I did some packet loss test, and I saw something like this. So it looks like we were losing about 90% of our packets, which is 10% or 9% of our packets, which is not good when we're streaming, and that's the reason why over the past couple of days I've had some issues with my internet and dropping my stream or dropping connection or lagging out. And definitely dropping frames, whereas right now it says 0 dropped frames, so I think we're good. So I unplugged the modem for 15 seconds, then I reconnected. I ran the test again, and it looked a lot better. So if I run the test right now, let's see if that how that affects the stream. Looks like we're better. Maybe just reconnecting to the ISP helped out. So it looks like we're back in business. So hopefully that continues for the rest of the night. But just in case, if you notice me lagging out or if the connection drops or the stream drops, it's because for some reason I'm encountering a lot of packet loss. I'm not sure why. All right, so if you watched before, we had built out or we had modified our form a little bit to use radio buttons and to update the available trainings for a teacher or a person in that program based on whatever they selected. So this is all done to minimize the possibility of someone making a mistake. And I don't even show that until they actually select a program name. So once they select a program name, then I show them the available trainings or trainings titles and times, dates, titles, and times. Okay, so right before I ended, or just at the end of the previous stream, what I got working, actually let me start the timer. I had to keep forgetting to start the timer pretty quickly. I backed up the clock just a little bit to make sure that it will continue from where the previous stream ended because I forgot to end on stream. So the clock should be ticking. 28 hours, 30 minutes, 25 seconds. Okay, so while that's going, we are good. So the last thing I got working just before I ended the last stream was we were able to connect our front end to the back end. So we were able to send an object, a JSON object, to the server, and the server was able to display what it had received from the front end. And it also sent a message back to the front end saying, "Hey, I received your message." I think that's what I called it. So just to show that, just to prove that, if I type in any name as the name, email a@b.com, 123 as the file number. So today or in this stream, I'm gonna do some validation, sanitization, make sure that what the person entered is valid and that they didn't leave anything out. I think that'll be the goal for this stream, to have two places to catch any potential errors or mistakes. One is on the front end, so we want to make sure that that someone can't type in something that isn't acceptable. Like they can't type in just a number for an email address. It has to be a valid email address, and that everything is selected. Otherwise, we want to disable the form. So I'm going to disable the form unless everything's filled in or selected. Then once this happens, so now when I click on submit form, actually before I do, let me pull up the server so you could see what happens when I submit this. So when I click submit form, the server spits back or returns back to the console or sends to the front end a JSON object with message, key, and the value of received your request. The server itself right now is just logging out the JSON object that it received. So I named it anyname a@b.com. You see the file number, the selected school, and the selected training. So what is happening right now is that, so I mean, as I look at it, it looks like everything is a string. So so I'm just gonna have to be careful also, because the file number should be a number. And so when I do my validation, I want to make sure that this is an actual number and not just another string. Because if it's a string, that's when we could have issues. So I'll have to figure out how to get that working. I'll also have to figure out how to disable the submit form button until someone is or completes everything that they need to inside of the form. Maybe I'll find a way to make sure that they can't click submit unless everything is valid. Maybe it gives them a little message so that they know what isn't valid. Maybe I should put a little description of what the programs are, because a lot of people don't know which program they're in. So that's another thing I could add to this this form. Maybe have a little card or a little area, a little header or paragraph in here somewhere telling the person, you know, helping them figure out which course or which program they're in, I should say. Everything right now is a string, and it's being received by the server. So actually, before I get to all that validation, sanitization stuff, I am going to save this. I'm gonna figure out a way to save all of this into the database first. That's what I want to get working right now. Now that we're back up and running, so I see that our timer is going. It looks like we're good. Our connection looks good. We haven't dropped any frames, so far so good. Okay, but how do we save this now? All right, well, what I want to do is I want to first create the model of the post that is going to be submitted. Okay, so, I mean, you could see that right here. This is the model that when in the last video when I just saved the kittens to the database, this is the model of the thing that's going to get put into the database. So let us follow in those footsteps, and let's create our model. Let's say we'll do it in our post over here. Actually, should we do it in the post or should we do it outside of the post? Maybe all that stuff goes outside of the post. Maybe not. Yeah, I think it goes outside of the post. We'll put the model out here. So we'll make this a const, and it's going to be our post submission. So that is going to be the post that we're going to submit, or maybe I'll call it post to submit, just to make it a little bit more understandable. It's going to equal mongoose and then the model method, and here we're going to name it post. Okay, and then the next argument is going to be the schema of this post. So everything that we see over here, so it's going to have the object. So everything is going to be passed into this object. So the full name, email, file number, selected school, selected training. Those are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key value pairs that I'm gonna require. So I could do it just like they have here with the kitty schema. Yeah, we'll do that. So let's put the schema on top of that. So the schema, or we'll call this the post schema equals, and we'll use the constructor mongoose dot schema, and here we're going to pass in an object that contains all of our fields. So this is going to require hold on, let me pull this up. Let me just copy the object over here so I could easily refer to it. So we're going to require a full name, right? Full name. That's going to be of type string. Actually, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to put a full name, and then I'm going to create another object. And in this object, I'm going to say that its type is string, and I could also, make it required equals to true. So that way, if someone doesn't pass in a full name, then it should throw an error. Let's see what else. I'm going to need a file number. File number. Same idea. I'm going to pass in an object. Right now it's being saved as a string, but eventually it's going to have to be a number. So I'm going to have to fix that later on. For now, let's make it a string. So type of string, also required. Required is set to true. Next, we have our email. Actually, no, before the file number, we have our email, although the order doesn't really matter here. But once again, the email is going to be a string, type of string. It is going to be required, so required equals true. True, true. All right, so we have our full name. Oops. We have our name, we have our email, and we have our file numbers so far. Next is the selected school, so the school that was chosen by the person. Same idea, we're going to pass in an object of type string, required true. So when I hit save, it should have formatted it correctly for me, but it isn't. Oh, maybe because up here it's like messed up. So let me just delete all this, and the same idea with selected training. So we're going to have the selected training, pass in an object. Its type is a string. Everything's a string right now, and we want to make sure it's required. So now when I hit save, it formats it correctly. And actually, I don't need to put these on new lines. I'm surprised that Prettier didn't just automatically do that for me. So let me just remove all that, just to make it like not as many lines of code. Although the spacing has no effect on what's going on here. It just makes it a little easier to read. There we go. So we have our post schema. And now to post, we are going to pass in the post schema. So when I hit the comma, so I could pass in another argument, that's when we see that it's looking for requiring a schema of type schema. And that's what this constructor is doing over up here, this post schema. Okay, so post schema, that's what we named it. All right, so now we have our schema, we have our model. Now the next thing we want to do is create an instance of that model. And that instance we're going to create using the stuff that was passed in from the front end. So that is going to go into my post. That's going to go into the post, the method here, the HTTP method. Okay, so we want to const, we'll call it the submission, and set it equal to, so that's going to be very similar to this here. It's a new, not kitten, but a new post to submit, and then in here we're going to pass in we're going to pass in the entire post. So everything that was just sent from the body, or that's going to be my request.body. That should be everything, and that should be correct. I think that's good. So once I have the submission, actually, you know what I could do? I could, when someone submit, instead of console.logging the request.body, let's log out the submission. Okay, so it should look the same, but now I'm going to have it in this this kind of format that I'm expecting, this schema, this model. So we're going to create this model, and we're going to end up saving it, but I just want to see that this works. So I hit save on the server. Let's just type in P for everything, because right now it's not checking to see that it's all correct. And when I hit submit form, received your request, and on the server, we are seeing the, so it looks exactly the same, but it actually is it's created this model that I wanted, and we know that that's the case because because we could see the ID on it, I believe. Whereas before, see this is from before when I just did any name just a few minutes ago. There was no ID property on that, but down here there is, or underscore ID. And this is a Mongo thing. So Mongo, every time you add something to the database, it gives it a unique identifier. named _ID. So that's how we know that this is working correctly, I believe. All right, now I'm going to save that. So now that we're able to capture that as a submission, we're going to save that to the database. So we're going to save to the database. All right, so I'm going to remove that comment. I'm just going to actually do that right now. So this is going to be the post to submit dot save. And so we're going to do the promise way, the promise chaining way. So it's going to save to the database, right? Over here, they pass in a callback. But what I'll do is I'm going to use the promise way of doing things. So I'm going to use a dot then and a dot catch to catch any potential errors. Instead of checking to see if there's an error, we'll do it this way. So we have to pass in the functions to run. Okay, so dot then, and this will be, what is this going to return? The response, maybe? Maybe the doc. So let's say console.log the doc that we receive, the document in the database. Otherwise, if there's an error, so we're going to catch that error, and we're going to console.log error. I'm going to make sure that matches the parameter. Okay, so if there's an error, we're going to catch it. If it goes through, we're going to log out the doc. I think that should work. Actually, it might not respond. It might not say. Actually, it might. A response. Instead of doc, I'll just do a res for the response. Oh wait, that's going to be confusing because that might think that it's this response. So maybe not. Oops, what did I do? Let me close that out. We'll stick with doc. All right, let's see if this works. We're going to see what comes out, what gets printed to the log when this runs. I don't want to log out the submission anymore because it should get logged out right here when it gets saved. Otherwise, it's going to log out the error that we encountered. You know what? Let's add something to this log. We're going to say yay, and then we're going to spit back the doc, which hopefully I think should be the object. But we'll see if that works. And once we do all that, then we're going to return the 201 status saved to database. Maybe received request, received and saved to database. All right, let's test it out. So let's do the letter M for this one. For all of these. And when we hit submit form, let me pull up my database. There we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, we get an error. The server responded with a status of 500. All right, so what is the issue here? Let's make this a little bit wider so we could actually read what's going on. Post to submit save is not a function. All right, hold on. Then we might have messed that up. Oh, you know what it is? It's not post to submit. It's not the model, it looks like. It's going to be the submission.save. That's what it is. All right, so now this should work. Let's try it out again. Let me refresh this page. We'll use C for this. So we'll copy paste C into all of these fields and just choose things randomly. Let's hit submit form. There we go, received and saved to database. We can see the object there, and we should see down here, yes, we see yay, and then we see the object that was saved to the database. So now I should be able to go into the database and actually see it in there. So let us, my timer's still going good. Okay, let's go into the database. So show DBs. So we have our forms. We're going to use the forms database, show collections, and this should be a collections of posts. What did I call it posts? Forms. It should be forms, not posts. Oh, I called it posts. It's the form to submit. So we'll change that in a little bit, but let's see how it looks. db.posts .find.pretty, so we could see all the posts that are in the database right now. And there we go. There is our first post that we just put in. So now we actually have, we were able to connect the front end to the back end. So that is that's quite an accomplishment. We've made some progress. So that is that's all great. Okay, now what? Oh yeah, so I said I was going to do some validation, making sure that some of these things are appropriate or are correct. So first let's change, not post to submit, so let's name this the form to submit. Form to submit. And we'll change it from post to form. Let me hit save. Okay, so the submission.save. Post schema, it's not a post. It's going to be a form schema. I could delete all of this example. Oh, wait a second. When I run save down here, I don't have to open up the database once. Oh, this just tells us that we connected to the database, I guess. Maybe this, I mean, we'll leave this here. So I'm doing it a little differently than, I guess, how I said, or probably differently than I did it the last time. But that's okay. We are just making sure that we can connect to the database, although I think we'd probably get an error once this runs if it didn't actually work, if it wasn't able to make a connection. But yeah, so we might not need lines 13 through 17. But we'll leave it in there just in case the database is not, we can't connect to the database. Let's just leave it like that. All right, so we have our post, we have our submission. Let's just make sure that it still works because I modified the names to form. And then we'll find it in the database. Let me refresh. We'll go with Z for this one. And then we'll start working on validation, making sure that everything is the correct type. Received and saved to database. And here, where's our database? Oh, here. There we go. We added Z to the database. So now, if I go back to the shell, I'm going to show DBs, use forms, show collections, and there should be a posts and a forms. So we want to drop posts. We don't need that anymore. How do I do that? db.posts.drop. There we go. So show collections. There we go. We just have forms. So now we can do db.forms.find, and we could see all of the forms that are in there. Oh, so yeah, all of the forms that are in the database, and there we could see the one that we just entered in there. All right, but as you can see, the email doesn't have to be an email right now, so we're going to have to fix that. And the file number doesn't have to be a number, so we want to fix those things right now. And so we'll start with the back end first. So because I have the schema in here, what I could say, okay, so I could change I guess email is still going to be a string, I think. But the file number is going to be of type number. So now, let me just save this and show that there should be an error there should be an error when it tries to save this to the database. Although I don't know if it'll be very easy to see. So file number, we'll put, I guess it doesn't matter if I put numbers here because I think it gets passed as a string. So let me, we'll test it out. I chose a few things, submit form, received and saved to database, and here, form validation failed. So here's where we have our error. This is the error that I was expecting. Let's see if it's easy to see that selected training path is required. But I thought I did select one. Uh-oh, maybe I did the wrong thing. Oh, wait, here. No, I think I accidentally messed that up then. Maybe I didn't choose a selected training. So we'll try one more time. ASDF a bunch of times. File number, let's try ASDF. Hit submit form. Form validation failed. Here we go. So this one should say, or it's somewhere we should see that we should see somewhere that the file number was supposed to be. Yeah, here we go. So there's a cast error. Cast to number failed for value ASDF. So file number has to be a number. So this is our server protecting us from whatever might come in from the front end. So let us see if we can Google this error and find a solution or figure out a way to make that, to solve that. Let me open up a new tab. Let's search for that error. Okay, so that's the mongoose error. There we go. What's the answer? Wrap your object response into a schema, then the type keyword is used by Mongoose to determine the type of the field. Mongoose probably thinks that responses is of type number instead of array. That's not exactly what I'm trying to get here. The problem is it's literally passing it a string. So is that a front-end problem? Maybe that's a front-end issue. Maybe I can go over to the wait, where's my front end? Here we go. In the app component, number. Here's the file number, and it's of type text, but maybe it should be a different type. So HTML input type. Let's see if we can find another solution for that. So HTML input types. And it could be of type number. Maybe that'll work. Maybe if we just change this from text to number, that will work. Hopefully. Let's see. All right, let's go back to our form. We'll make sure our server's up here. It's going. Okay, let's pass in whatever. Actually, I'll type in whatever. We'll do whatever. The file number. We'll just pick some numbers, 129. Pick a random thing. Everything else is random. I hit submit form. We receive and saved to database. And here we go. Yes, so now our file number is actually a number, and it's being checked that is a number. Actually, I shouldn't return back to the front end the message we received and saved to database unless it is successful. So when is that actually being sent back? Yeah, so I should only really send this back when we have a successful addition to the database. So let me take that out of here, because right now it's going to run every single time. And we're going to put it inside of the then. So when it actually does save the object, that's when I want to say we were successful. I think if there's an error, Maybe down here we could return back to the front end like a status 500 or whatever the status is when something doesn't get saved to the database, but I don't want to send it every single time. So at least this is a little bit better. But for now it'll display the error on the database in the database terminal, not to the front end. So if I do submit something wrong, the front end is not going to know that happened. Right now it's not. All right, but that's okay for now. Let's test this out. So for example, if I type in a string for the number and I select all these random things, when I hit submit form, I should not get back. Yes, I don't get back the message, and there should be an error here in the database. Yep, that our value is messed up here. Once again, that path file number is required. Form validation failed. So it failed to validate that field because it was supposed to be a number. Okay, and that's our validation error. Okay, form validation failed. Oh, it actually has its own message here. So we have a underscore message property that we could maybe use. So console.log error. So we could return a response. It's probably error dot underscore message. Yeah, that's the whole error that's being sent back. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so let's go with that. So we have our number, email address. So we want to validate the email. Now I do know that it's. I mean, we could figure out a way to validate the email ourselves, but there are libraries and packages already. I believe is one. One is called. Actually, hold on. Let me just look at the other input types and see if there's anything else I would. Oh, there is one. Email. So input type email. Is that what I used over here? So let's go back up here. Input type email. Yes. Okay. So we want to check to make sure that this actually is an email. So on the server, there will be a way to validate that. So we can Google npm validation mongoose. So mongoose validator, maybe that's the one what we'll want to use. It doesn't have that many I mean, 14,000 downloads is nothing to sneeze at, but actually, I think I want to use validator. Validator.js is one that I do know of, I've heard of. Let me search for that in npm here. So this is called validator. And yeah, so instead of 14,000 downloads a week, look at this one, almost 4 million a week. So this is the one that I want to actually use in my on the server. So let us install it first. We're going to need to do npm install validator, npm I validator. So if I just click on that, it copied it to the clipboard. And now I can go back to my my terminal window here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me clear it out. And we're going to type in npm I validator. So that's going to install validator. And hopefully my stream does not collapse in the process. I can see that we've had some dropped frames. So I apologize for any lag that you may have noticed. My connection is not perfect. And I blame my ISP for that. Okay, so we installed validator. Now we can start using it. So I'm going to do a const validator. I'm going to put that at the top of the server. So let's see. We'll put that up here. And this is how we'll bring in that the validator library. So we'll hit save. And okay, so this is how we run it. We do validator.isEmail and then pass in the value that we want to check to make sure that it is an email. So that's going to be in Mongoose model validation. So I have to look at the Mongoose documentation, which I do not like looking at because it's really not great. And there are some built-in validators which I am using. So for example, I am using like the type one. But there are others. There are minimum, min, max, min length, max length. So I can make sure that, for example, someone can't type in actually, right now there could be empty strings probably passed in, right? So in my form, if I put in a number, because actually no, will it work? What if I pass in like, no, well, let's try it. So right now, only the file number, everything should be required. I made everything required, but it might be possible for someone to sneak in without typing a name. So let me just check against that. So, let's try just to leave the name blank and see what happens. Submit form. And I think we caught the error. Form validation failed. Yes, the full name is required. Okay, so that's okay. I was worried that someone could possibly submit the form and the empty string would be of type string and it wouldn't get caught. But it looks like if it's blank, it'll get caught. What happens though if we put spaces? Okay, that might be interesting. Let me just mess up the full name with spaces. Okay, let me hit submit form. Yeah, so spaces is not good. It'll actually get added to the database. Yeah, look what it did. It added the space. So I know that there's a way to remove these leading and trailing spaces in a string, and that is using trim. So I know I think it's a Mongoose thing. So we'll figure that out in just a bit. Actually, let's see if we can search it. Trim. Mongoose validation trim. Okay, so maybe that is in schema types. Where is trim? Let me search for it. There we go. Trim is a Boolean. Okay, so if we pass trim true, so we're gonna have to do, let's do that for all of the strings here. So on the full name, let's just try it on full name for now. So trim, set that equal to true. And so what that should do is if someone types in just blank spaces, it should get caught as an error. Okay, so moment of truth here. When I hit submit form, we should not receive back received and saved to database. Let's see. Okay, good. We didn't get back the received and saved to database. Let's look over here, and we see on our server, what did I do wrong? File number. Oh, I might have put the file number as a. Oh, I screwed that up. I think I might have put the file number as a string, so I caught that. But let me try to catch the blank. Yeah, what I did was file number was null. All right, so let's put an actual number there. Email address is a string. Let me choose one of these sessions. Now if I hit submit form, we see that it says, yes, full name is required, and the value was blank. So trim is working as it should. All right, so we're going to add trim to all of our strings, and trim will remove any spaces that are leading, so in the beginning of a string or at the end of a string. So we're going to need that for the full name. We're going to need that for the email. So these are, I mean, you could see how difficult it is to validate and make sure, because people will type in, they could type in any number of things that could cause this to screw up. File number, I don't think you have to trim a number. Let me see if that's the case. Mongoose trim number. If you add, will it trim a number? Mongoose does trim a number work? You know what? We'll leave it like that for now, and because I think it really is just for. I think it's just for strings, but maybe we'll try it on file number eventually. But for now, on all the strings, I definitely want to add trim equals true. Same thing with selected training, trim, true. Okay, so now all of my strings are trimmed. And if we go back to Mongoose, wherever it may be, okay, I'll need to look at validator in a little bit. Number. So how do we validate its trying to see how we could validate the value that was passed in, how we could do the validation. So that way I could check to make sure that the email is actually an email using my validation here. All right, so let's look at validation. We're just going to have to go through it slowly. Doc.validate, callback. So it's the validate, right? I think. Required. Is over 18. Oh, it's a function. So it's a function that checks to make sure that this .age is over 18. Isn't there a way to do validate? Let me just search for them. There's 60 of them here. All right, so that's a lot. I could have sworn we could put validate on the inside of the model. So here, this is what I'm thinking. Model.validate. So I think that'll be in here somewhere. Let me click on that link. Okay, model schema test required. Oh, so this is using a try-catch kind of way. And it's validating the name. So I could do something like that, but that is really, it's kind of tricky and like advanced looking. Maybe what I could do, I think, let me see. Let's work with the file number first. So I think what I could do is I could do validate and what does it do? Throw an error. So I could validate the value that's passed in. And if value is like, let's say, if value equals 55, then let's console.log an error. Let's just put no. All right, so let's see if that works. I think we could do it like this. We can pass a validate method inside, it's a method inside of this object that'll take the value that I'm looking at, and if the value is that, then we're gonna, maybe I'll do we'll do console.log no. Otherwise, it's fine. And maybe I have to throw an error here. Throw new error. Actually, maybe I'll do that. I'll throw the error here. And that'll be my error. No. So only when the value of the file number is 55. So let's just see if this is exactly how we do this. If I remember correctly, I think that's how we did it. Let's go back to our form. Let me just refresh everything. Full name, email address. The file number of 55 should cause the error. And then let's select something for everything else. Okay, so I hit submit form. Okay, good. We didn't receive a message saying everything's good. And when I go back over here to our server, yes, we see our validator error. No. So our file number is not acceptable. So that's good. This is how we can validate, use custom validation for our own, for the thing that we're doing. Yeah, the file number cannot be of value 55. Cool. Any other number and that'll be acceptable. So instead of doing something like that, maybe I could do value dot, if value dot length, so I can make sure that I think file numbers are all 6 digits or 7 digits. So I can make sure that I can check its length over here, make sure it's appropriate, equals 6. Or it doesn't equal. If it doesn't equal 6 or value.length doesn't equal 7. So that's when it's going to give me an error. So I'll say that the file number, or I'll say a file number, should be 6 or 7 digits long. Let me hit save. Let's test it out. File number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should throw an error. And then I can just choose whatever. Hit submit form. It looks like we got an error. A file number should be 6 or 7 digits long. Great. So let's do. Let's just put in whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should work. Submit form, and form validation failed. Why? Why did that fail? A file number should be 6 or 7 digits long, but hold on, I did. if value.length is not equal to 6 or not equal to 7, did I do that wrong? So let's do JavaScript not equal. No, that's the not equal operator. I used the correct operator. Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe it's not, maybe I don't need two equal signs. Maybe that's the issue. Let's try that. Let's try to remove both the double equal sign. Let me hit Command S. Hopefully that's the issue. Let me refresh. Let's put whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should be good. That's 6 digits. See, this is the annoying thing about not like programming the testing built in. I basically have to test it myself manually every single time. And that is really annoying. So if I was to figure out, or if I was to learn how to write tests, I could run the test and immediately I would catch the errors. So everything I'm doing right now, this like manually testing and like, you know, debugging process, I really should be writing a test for, but who's got time for that right now? Because I'd have to figure out how to do that testing stuff. So let me submit the form. We should be good. Does not look like we're good. Because once again, I got the error. A file number should be 6 or 7 digits long. Why is that? User defined file number. Oh, you know what it is? I maybe can't, there maybe is no dot length method for, there's no length method, I think, for numbers. It's only for strings. Okay, so I won't be able to use that kind of validation, I think, in our server. What I'll have to do is, let me Google JavaScript number length. How can I find the length of a number? Yeah, a value.length will not work on a number. That's probably the issue. So if I do toString.length, so if I just turn it to a string for a second, I use the toString method, and then I could check its length. So let's do that. So value.toString.length, value.toString.length. So that's not changing my value. It's still a number, but when we check to see if its length is equal to 6 or 7, this will actually work. And I think I can bring back my double equals and like make sure that it has to equal 6 or 7. Okay, let's try this again. So name, file number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should be good. And submit form. Uh-oh. We got an error. A file number should be 6 or 7 digits long. Again, we get this error. I mean, it's possible that that's happening because maybe the double equals is not how we do this. Let me hit save, or let me delete that, hit save. Maybe I didn't save it before. Is that possible? We'll see. Okay, so we're connected to the database. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything else is filled in, and we're good. We're going to submit form, and we still get form validation failed. A file number should be 6 or 7 digits long. What did I do wrong? So the value.toString.length. And actually, I mean, it has to be the double equals, but that's not the reason that it's not working. Let me just hit save. I mean, let me try a 7 digit. So we're back up and running, connected to database. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Submit form. Yeah, we still get the problem. Form validation failed. Huh. If value.toString.length. Maybe I can't do that. Maybe I just can't use the toString on that number. Let's see what maybe there's a number method I could. Well, that's the toString method, and I used it correctly. toString. So we have the number toString. Okay, so let me type in mongoose number length validation. How to validate string length in mongoose. Oh, no. You know what I could do? Maybe I could do min length is 6, max length is 7. So instead of doing it like this, we can pass in min length 6, max length. Is it k dot max length? That doesn't seem right. Let's go lowercase. Max length 7. Oh, comma. There we go. Maybe now it should work. Let's find out. Refresh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. PS1. Pick something random. Submit form. Yes, and we're good now. So file number of 6 digits works. Let's try 7. Seven works. Let's try 8 to make sure that it doesn't work if it's over a certain value. Whoa. We should have gotten an error, but we didn't. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. That's 8 digits. I guess I can't have min length and max length on this number. Or did I put that in wrong? No, that's on the file number. Yeah. Can't do it. Cannot do it. All right, let's Drew, if you're watching, welcome. I think you're watching. Just got a text from one of my friends. All right, so mongoose validate exact length. See if that's the case. Yeah, so I think he is watching. Number field to be at exact length. How do we do that? Oh, maybe it's min and max? Wait a second. When I try to add a user with the ID, I get the next validation error. Valued value. Min, oh, so maybe it's just min and max, not min length. Min and max. Let's see if that works. All right, let's try this out once again. So as you can see, like, this is not the best way to test it. So let's try 5 and see if it breaks. Hit submit. I think it broke. Yes. 5 is more than the maximum allowed value. Oh, no, that's not. 5 is more than. Yeah, so I guess I made the max, like, actually the number 7. So I guess the minimum would be if we need a 6-digit number, then the minimum could be 99,999, and the maximum, if we have a 7-digit value, it could be the 9,999,999, right? So that's going to be a 7-digit number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the minimum. That's the maximum. So let's try that. The file number has to be within that. Actually, no, that's not going to work because some people have file numbers that start with the 0, and they're still 6-digit numbers, I think. And this will probably think that that's a 5-digit number. It might not even see the 0 in front. Oh, all these little edge cases are so annoying to catch. What is my friend saying over here? Shouldn't it be? Oh yeah, you're right. The minimum should be 0.00001. Well, actually no. I did 5 digits because it's gonna be between 6 and 7 digits. So if the minimum is 99,999, actually it shouldn't be. It should be, the minimum should be 100,000. I could use underscores to make it easier to read. And the maximum has to be under 10 million. But the problem is, I think someone could have a 6-digit number starting with a 0. And it might think that it's less than 100,000, even though there's 6 digits. Jeez, how do we get hung up on these like weird things? Let me reload. Let's see what happens if I start with a 0 and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is a 6-digit number, but it is less than what it's supposed to be, because now this is 12,000 instead of 100,000. That's why I really want to check to make sure that it's. I want to check to see its length, but I can't. For some reason, the two string dot length did not work on the value. Let's try this, see what happens. It should break. And it does. Because it'll say that 12,345 is less than the minimum allowed. Yep. All right, I really don't want to get hung up on this. Let's just assume that we'll go with this for now. So we'll have a 7-digit number, a 6-digit number, and we'll ignore anything that starts with a 0. We'll figure out a way to solve that later. What is this? What is this guy saying over here? Shouldn't it be 0, 0, 0? Yeah, but the problem with that, Drew, is that then someone could enter the number 43, and I want it to be either 6 digits or 7 digits. Because if I just start at 0001, then someone could be like, their number could be 55, and that shouldn't be the case because I need a 6-digit number. So I kind of want to set the minimum to 100,000, but that's okay. We'll leave it like this for now. So if their number starts with a 0, they're out of luck. Let's see what he's saying. But it would have to be 00043. Yeah, but I think it's ignoring all the zeros in front of the number, so that's why I don't think I could do it like that. We'll just leave it like this. If their number starts with a 0, then we'll figure that out later, and we'll change this later. But for now, I'm happy just getting this kind of working. All right, so we need an appropriate file number between 100,000 and 10 million. Not including 10 million, because that would be 8 digits. Email. So getting back to the email, I installed the validator. So now what I can do is here in email, I can check. I could do validate the value, and if the, how do we do this? So in validator, I think there is one is email. So here, validator.isEmail. So I can run if value.isEmail. Okay, hold on one second. Let me clean this up a little bit just because it's hard to read now. Is it validate or validator? Maybe it's validator. Mongoose validator. Oh, it's okay. So validate. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on here? Validate is the what I need. Oh, that's what I have. Validate. I could pass in the value, I believe. So if the value, or if validator. All right. So how do I pass the value, the email, to this validator library? Let's see. All right, I got it installed. Validator.isEmail, and then I can pass in the value. Maybe that's how I'll do it. So if validator.isEmail, and I'll pass the value. So if it's not an email, so if not this, then that's when we're going to throw the new error, and we're going to say not an email. I'll just say that's not an email. Actually, no, I'll just say not an email. All right, let's test it out. I think that should work. All right, so let's put whatever name. The email address, let's just put another string. File number, we'll go with 123123. So that's that meets our minimum. And we'll choose whatever here. So submit form. We get the error. If we look at our thing, oh, I think we screwed up the screwed up our server here. We need that's value, that's the if. All right, so what's wrong here? File number, email. All right, I think I'm missing a curly brace here. So let me bring these down and see if I can find where it's missing. So validate. Yeah, it's catching. Okay, so I think I'm missing a curly brace here. And then that's for validate. And then this one's for email. Okay, there we go. Let's save. Now we should be good. Okay, so now if I don't put in a correct email address, 234 meets our file number requirement. We just choose something randomly and submit form. And we should get an error. Yes, form validation failed. Not an email. Perfect. So that's the value. It has to be an email, a valid email. So let's test it out. Let's refresh and let's just type in whatever@whatever.com. File number also again 123123. Let's do. Pick whatever. Submit form and received and saved to database. So now we are able to add it to our database. So validation now works for the email. So we have our file number working validation on the server. So this is all on the server. I don't do anything on the front end. I'm not doing anything on the front end right now. Let me test out the if I do like a 8-digit number, just to make sure that it fails. And now I'm going to have to type in a valid email. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This should break. This should tell me that that's not it's higher than the maximum. So hit submit form, and it breaks. Yes. So let's make sure that it's okay. So yep, perfect. File number is more than the maximum allowed value. So this is good. That's exactly what I wanted. Form validation failed. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so we have our email being validated. We have our file number that's, I guess, kind of being validated. Maybe I did it wrong. Value dot. Maybe validator has a. Let me look at this library and see if it has any way to check like the numbers or something. So contains, equals, is after. Let's see what's available to us. Is ASCII. Is before, is a Boolean. Oh, Drew, you're still there? Move on, he says. Move on. I'll leave my phone open in case you say something. Okay, so is date, is decimal? No, I don't care about that. Is email, there's our, this is how we check to see if it's an email. Is empty, check if the string has a length of 0. Is Ethereum address, wow, that's cool. We could check to make sure that we have a correct Ethereum address. Let's say if we have like a, I mean, no one should ever be, I guess they could type in their public Ethereum address in some box to receive something maybe. Not the private keys though. Is float? No. Is full width? Come on, you have everything else in the world. You got Ethereum things here, addresses. How can we check to make sure if it is length? Would this work? Could I do... max? Maybe we can try again. I want to see if there's something for numbers though. I think it's going to be is length again. I mean, we could try one more time. Oh, this also has a sanitizer. To boolean, to date, to int. Let's try one more time. So let me remove this min and max. I don't really like the way I did it here. Let's just try one more time and see if we could use validator maybe. So we are going to pass in validate. We're going to take the value that we're receiving. If, so here we'll do validator dot is, what was it, is length. Let me type in length and see if I can find that. No, not is byte length, but is length. And we have to pass it a string. So we'll do is length, and here we'll pass it value dot toString because we're getting a number. So if validator is length equals, so let's put an equals 6. Let's just throw an error if it equals 6. If we get that working, throw new error, and I'll just type in yes. So that'll be the response. So if the length of the file number is 6 digits, we'll get a yes. And that's what we want. And yes will be an error, but it'll basically tell us that we can actually do that. All right, so let's see. Moment of truth here. Correct email. File number 123123. So this is 6 digits. We should get that error, even though it's not an error. Submit form. Oh no, we didn't get the error, I don't think. It went right through. 123123. Did I say? Yeah, I saved the server. Validate value if validator dot is length, and we passed in the value dot toString. If it equals 6, is length, and it should have. Yeah, I did 123123. It should have said it should have given us an error. I was just testing to see if I could detect whether there were 6 digits or not. But I am not able to convert value into a string apparently, because it's a number as it comes in. Validate value if validator dot is length. Is length value dot toString. Am I doing that right? JavaScript number toString. Yeah, I'm using it right. It's just not going to work. Yeah, num.toString. All right, we tried. Wait. No, yeah, we tried, but it's not working. So we're gonna paste back what we had. Validator.isLength. 123 123. All right, we'll just do that. We'll use the min and max again. We restarted it. The file number was put in 123 123, and that was 6. The length was 6, and it should have thrown an error, but it didn't. All right, let's go back to our. Let's see what our database looks like right now. It's probably full of things. Yep, it has all these different things that we've been testing that have gone through. That's okay. It's really easy to clear out this database later on. All right, is there anything else we want to validate or sanitize before we move on to the front end? Selected school is of type string, but I don't really know like how I would check to make sure that it's like a valid school. They're only getting the options that are right. So if they somehow figure out how to hit the API and like pass in something else, like more power to them. I'll still catch it if it's not a string. Selected training is a string. We're trimming email, file number, full name. Maybe the name should be a specific length, but what if I guess we'll leave it like that. Whatever. Who would fill out this form for no reason just to mess with it? We'll go with that. All right, so I think we're okay with the server-side validation for now. Validator, yeah. So that's how we're checking to make sure that the email is valid. So if it's not valid, we throw that error. Okay. So now let's look at the. Now we got to do some front-end validation. So that was on the back end. So just in case someone sent the wrong thing to the back end, that's. It would get caught, but we shouldn't even get to that point. We should prevent the user from submitting something that's invalid on the front end also. Okay, let me just close that out. Okay, let's close the server. I think our server is okay for now. We're able to save things. My friend just 9 workouts. I don't think my other friend's watching. Let me ask, you watching? So he's at 9 workouts. He's supposed to get to 10 by the end of the month, and he has like about a week left to do it. So I think he'll be fine. I think he'll make it for his side of the bet. But on my side of the bet, we have 30 hours and 20 minutes left. So we're almost halfway there. By today, we are going to get to the halfway mark, and let's see how much further we can push it. But okay, he's in. So yeah, so we'll see how far we get. Today we're definitely going to cross the halfway mark because there's no, unless my internet goes down like permanently for the next 20 minutes, within the next 20 minutes, I will be crossing the halfway mark. And that'll give me about a week left to do 30 hours. So we're going to try to do as much as we can today. We're going to try to do as much as we can tomorrow. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Okay, so we have our server. We're happy with it. It's connecting to the database. It works. That's all great. Actually, I should probably, maybe if it doesn't connect, if there's an error, I don't know. We'll see. Hi, Dave. You're in Bushwick right now? My friend said, show me how to create a program to trade Link. So Link is I guess it's a cryptocurrency or some kind of service. Schwick, yes. So I guess he's in Bushwick. Yo, you should have come over. You should do a Satsun. I guess it's a little late now. Who's gonna want to commute? Who's gonna want to take the trains at 9:20? But if you're bored and you feel like coming over, feel free. Although we're going to be, I don't know, we're going to be streaming for a while. Okay, let's see. What else? Wait, what's teacher? Oh, really? You're going down tomorrow? Did you sign a lease yet? What are you doing? I'm just going to remove that teacher. Wait. I created a teacher thing, but I don't even use it, so I'm going to delete it. Yeah, because I guess every single form would be a different teacher's form, I guess. But we don't even use it, so let's delete it. Just looking at apartments for a week. Gotcha. You couldn't just look online. You got to go down there to see what they got. But did they tell you? Did they give you the green light and say you should move to Puerto Rico? Trainings. What's this? Oh yeah, trainings is down here. Show trainings is false. We'll set it to true here. All right, the components. So now on the front end, we got to figure out front end validation. Okay, so let's Google that. We're going to do Angular form validation. So now that we have our back end that's kind of like validating and sanitizing our front end a little bit with the trims. Sure. So sure you got the green light, or sure you're gambling and just going down there. Okay, validating form input. You can improve overall data quality by validating user input. Blah blah blah. Two types of forms that Angular support. Template-driven form. All right, validating input in template-driven forms. To add validation to a template-driven form, you add the same validation attributes you would with the native HTML form validation. Angular uses directives to match these attributes with validator functions in the framework. Every time the value of a form changes, Angular runs validation and generates a list of validation errors, such as an invalid status. Roll the dice. You're rolling the dice. I like that. Oh, look at that. We could have min length. I'm seeing over here in the example. We can make it required and have a min length of 4. Probably put a max length of also in there. So for the input, we could do we could make sure that we actually let's disable the submit button until everything is valid. So I believe for the entire form on the button, let's bind disabled to the validity of the form. So over here, if we could do disable or disabled, maybe it's, yeah, there we go, disabled. So now it's disabled, as you can see, right? I can't click it. Although right now it's never changing to true. So let's bind it to form valid. Form is valid. Or form invalid. So when that's true, it's disabled. So now we have to set that property. I wonder if there's a built-in way to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it like this. So form invalid and set that equal to true. So when the form is invalid, this is disabled. So as soon as we start up, we can't even submit the form. And then we'll figure out a way to make sure that to change that if the entire thing is correct. So actually, let me find in the documentation how we do that. All right, maybe we'll add some of these things here. So some of these are required. Everything should be required, actually. So I guess it's using HTML5 required. Where is the, here we go. So we're going to put required on inputs. Let's start at the very beginning. So this is going to be required. This is going to be required. Actually, then there might be a built-in way to see if the whole form is valid. I might not have to create that. Use that property I just created. Let me just put required on everything and see. Select is required. Everything should be required. Everything is required. The input required. Training dates and times. All this is required. So that is going to be on the select, right? Okay, there we go. So now, maybe there's like an ng valid or something like that. Let me remove that property because I don't think we need to do something like that. Form invalid. I'm sure that Angular has like a built-in way to test to see if the form is valid or not based on what it's able to detect. So disabled, and we'll set that equal to valid. Let's see, or not valid. Maybe there's something, or ng valid maybe. No, there is no ng valid. There we go, ng valid. So on the form, ng valid required. Let's Google it. So we're going to Google Angular form valid. Let's look at W3 schools. Yeah, so I mean, you can see here, client-side validation alone cannot secure user input. So I did already work on some server-side validation. That's what I just did before. Wait, is this Angular? Oh, this is Angular.js. This is not. This is the old version of Angular. Not what I want. So let's find. Maybe it's this one. Maybe this one will this one will be good. Maybe. Okay, so form.invalid or form.valid. Okay, so this is what I want. So I think I didn't call it form. What did I call it? F. So F dot valid. But if it's not valid, then we're disabled. So let me make that not valid. Save. And now let's go back to our form. And now if I add everything correctly, or if I add everything here, oh, wow. See, that's a potential bug, because now someone could submit the form even though they haven't selected a program name. And the issue is that I think, all right, hold on, let me think of the issue. Why is that happening? So that's happening because I think they have like default values when they first start up. Yeah. So like that, so that's a program name. So program name right over here. I think it has like a default value that's causing it to it's required, but because it has a default value apparently, then it's let me think. ng model? Well, I don't have an ng model on that. Do I need ng model on that? Maybe. Whoa, how did I get by doing that without putting ng model on those? I mean, maybe that's why we're having some issues. Let me see what happens if I add ng model here to this to the programs. So here, we'll put in an email, number, school. Okay, there we go. So now I have to choose one of these, and then I have to. But now it's not showing me the options. All right, so maybe ng model is not required for that. Maybe I don't need ng model here. That's not even a binding thing. I don't know. I could be wrong on how to set this up. All right, I just saved it, refreshed. But it's never setting it equal to valid. Why is that? Okay, now we have another problem. So now it's never becoming valid. And just before, it became valid right here. What did I do? Required on the input. And required on the select. Maybe the required has to go on the option? No, it's on the select. What did I do? Let me refresh. Hold on. What is going on? So, why is that happening? Not 100% sure why that's happening. All right, let's see what this thing says. Form.invalid or form not valid. There's actually a slight difference between form.invalid and form.valid but not. To demonstrate this, we'll create a simple form that checks. Oh, email. We could also add that HTML5 validator. Wait, does Angular use the HTML? Because that required is an HTML5 validator. No validate attribute to forms. ng native validates directive to the form. All right, so maybe I have to add this directive to the form. Let's actually see if it has that no validate thing. All right, so let me inspect. Actually, I am inspecting it already. Let me refresh. Let's look at the form. Yeah, it has that no validate, but it should not. It should, we want to use HTML5 validation. So maybe that's what's causing us some problems. So we are going to add that attribute to our form over here. We're going to add the ng native validate. So let me save this. So I saved it. Now our form just refreshed and it says, wait, it refreshed and it says ng native validate. So maybe now it works. You know what? Let's, underneath the button, let's do another div. Actually, I guess we should do a row. Under the whole entire form, let's do a row, column spanning the entire width of the page. And what I want to do is I want to say what the current f.valid value is. So right now it's false. As I type things in, then it changes to true right here. But that does not make sense because there is no program name selected. But I guess it is selected because, well, not selected, but there's probably something that exists as its value, as its default value. So let me get down to here. Here's where I have my options. This should be required, right? I don't even see it there. All right, so something's wrong. Maybe I could actually see, maybe, this is going to be annoying, but let's do the, let's look at the different properties. So f dot full name, that's going to be, let's put its value here. Let's see if the name is valid. I guess I can't access it like that. So name f dot, what's the value of it? Maybe it's f dot value dot full name dot valid. That's it. Wait, no, that's not it. Oh, I'm not binding to it, I guess. So maybe I won't be able to display whether it's valid or not. So I guess here I'm binding to it, but I want to see if it's valid. So how do I check that? What are the properties on the object? So you know what? Let's go into our component here and the form. All right, that's not, I'm not sure. I don't know how to see if this thing is f dot value. What does f dot value even look like? So it's an object of an, what are its properties? So let us do, in the submit form, let's do submit form. I want to, okay, so this logs the submission. You know what, let's not disable it. Let's just be able to hit on submit. And on submit, what I wanted to do is I just want to display everything that's in that form, in that F, in the form. This dot the form. Okay, so I'll be able to see what the different properties are for each of the items. So let us remove that disabled binding here, property binding. Okay, so now I should be able to hit submit form, and in the console, why is it not displaying what is what is going on? This the form. On submit, and when I click on that, it's submitting. On the entire form, we have that the on submit, and I guess we might not need this variable anymore, because now we're capturing it with viewChild. Maybe that's causing issues. Let me hit save. Name f.value. So no, it's not like that. So maybe it's the form dot value. All right, now we have even more issues. All right, let's go back to leaving that in there. Okay. So for the name, that's called full name. So the name is full name. It's required. So f dot full name. But how do I see its properties? How could I see if it is? Oh geez, now it's not even working. It's not binding to it. Oh, because I might need ng model on that. I have it on there. Why is that not working then? Name. All right, let's try to revert back to whatever we had just before. It's not working. Hey, Mark. Did you get your test results back? Hoping they were negative. Especially after waiting 4 hours for them, probably. So show trainings is true. This is starting to get frustrating now. F.fullname. Maybe I can't do that. Oh, maybe F.value. That's what it was. F.value.fullname. And so now I could, yes. Okay, so now that works. .valid? Does that exist? No, not sure what happened, but apparently there were some errors with the machine that was used for the rapid testing. Oh, yeah, maybe like false positives or something could definitely happen. Gotcha. Oh my goodness. That's annoying. What a crazy time to be going back to college. Or to be going to college for the first time. Everyone else in my apartment got their results, but I did not get mine. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you didn't get results yet. So they got you quarantined over there. Just on my laptop right now, and I have to wait until tomorrow, I'm guessing. No, I guess full name dot, not value, but valid. Let's see if we could display that. No. I don't know what the properties are for this. F.value. Alright, so we added that directive. What else do we need to do? ng no form. See, like some of these responses, I don't know what's correct. What the hell is this talking about? Validators required. Oh, this thing. All right, that's not what I want. All right, maybe we can, you know what, let's use YouTube on stream. And so we are going to do Angular form validation. Let's see what that says. Now, I don't think I'll get a copyright strike, but the person with the what YouTube does is if it detects that you're using someone else's video, it notifies them that their video was used in another video. So that could be possible, but I think if I skip through this, then maybe it won't catch that. And I'm gonna mute it also, so that way oh, so this is they're using template references. This is different than the way I'm doing it.